Voice of Indonesia.
And it was service Voice of Indonesia. Listener wildlife across the planet. Well, it's so very diverse. In Indonesia, even in Indonesia, it is so diverse. And recently, we just discovered a new species right behind a mine, also industrial area. Imagine how rich our world if we have discovered all that wildlife. But however, there are of course some homeworks to do to protect and also to perform the research related to the wildlife itself. Especially in the World Wildlife Day in 2025, the theme is apparently wildlife conservation finance, investing in people and planet. And to talk about it, we are connected with the Director of Secretariat of Scientific Authority for Biodiversity at the National Research and Innovation Agency, Brin. We have Bapak Amir Hamidy. Hello, Pak Amir Hamidy.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning too, sir. So I would like to know that as a researcher and also representation from your agency too, how do you see the Indonesian wildlife preservation and also research so far, especially in the facilities?
Yes, for the biodiversity is one of the main resources from Indonesia. I think we are one of the country that has a hotspot. It means that although we have the reach on the biodiversity, we also have a problem with some declining some species in population, as well as the conservation status of some species. And in related to the regulation and also research, we in Brin, for example, we develop a lot of facilities to support the research on the biodiversity, to support also finding new species. This is one of the activity for doing biodiversity conservations. Research is part of the conservation act actually. So if we come back to the national regulations regarding protection of the species, which is government regulation number 7 in 1999, research is part of that. And if we concern regarding the research activity, although Indonesia has many islands, and we also reach on the biogeographical events. So we have Sundaland area, we have Wallace area, we have Papuan region, which is all those terrestrial biodiversity is really different each other. And in Wallacean region, we have a reach on the endemicity, although the number of the population is probably not many, but they are rich on the endemicity. Those areas need to be explored to find new species. Why we find new species? By finding new species, we will know how to protect them. We will know how to use them in sustainable way. So this is one of the most challenge for Indonesia, as well as the many biodiversity country. The second one, not only research but also regulation. Strengthen the regulations. Indonesia has many regulations regarding the biodiversity. However, implementations for protecting species to combat illegal wildlife trade, for example, is still lack of that. So we need more strengthen the law regarding
the legal enforcement
regarding the wildlife, as well as the strengthen the research and also funding regarding the finding new species and evaluating their conservation status.
Okay, and also I would like to know, in Indonesia, it is Indonesia is so big. Like you say, they have different groups. In percentage, how many percent of the species or the biodiversity that we already explored? Is it 70, 80%, or there are still so many percent that we can say still unknown until today, sir?
Yes. Well, our explorations start from the Dutch colonial, so it's been 200 years ago. However, for the terrestrial, probably we can reach 40% of area has been explored. However, if we talk about marine, it's real challenging because it's less than a 40%. Even in Indonesia, for example, we have different level of the explorations levels. For example, Papua. Papua is one of the regions that's still very low data on the biodiversity. Even probably I start study on the frogs and reptiles. For example, in the case of the frogs, probably in the number of the species will be double in next 10 years for Indonesia, since many technology has been introduced to study about the biodiversity. So I can imagine that now the number of frogs in Indonesia reach about 500. Probably next 10 years will be reached like 1,000 species. So that's my prediction. So yeah, it's terrestrial, probably around less than 40% has been explored, and the most priority for the location that's unexplored is in Papua region, of course, some part of Sumatra and some part of the Kalimantan. And for marine, I think we less than 20% explore of our territory.
Okay, sir. If we talk about the marine exploration, everybody on the internet has the opinion that we know more about the outer space compared to our own sea, our own ocean, because of the, well, we know the physically it's very challenging, but on the land, sir, I would like to know what is the main challenge that keeps the exploration still, like you say, 40-ish, something like that, sir? What are the main challenge that make us a little bit difficult to make it 50, 60, and 70%?
Okay. Yeah. Terrestrial is much easier compared to marine in exploration way. And however, in terrestrial, we have a strong challenge. Yeah. For example, regarding the expansion of agriculture area. So if we see Indonesia, so the ring of fire, many volcano around Sumatra and Java, that soil is very rich for very fertile, and it has been clear for agriculture many years ago, even since Dutch colony. So the speed of the expansion of agriculture and the speed of exploring the potential of biodiversity is kind of the challenging for us. So even the area that never been explored, and suddenly it can be very fast changed to the agriculture area and clearance, and we lost some spaces, of course, for the name of the production as well as agroforestry and others activity. So the main challenge is deforestation is the main challenge for us to save wildlife in Indonesia. And we still have many locations that has not been cleared yet. For example, in Papua, those areas need more protection as well as need more research on that to see how many species are there, how many of them can be contribute to the human economic value as well as for the livelihood of many people.
Okay, so if you relate it to the current theme of the World Wildlife Day, it says about investing in the people and planet. But as we know that companies tend to choose an investment that brings them benefit and also profit, of course. So according to you, sir, how to make sure that these companies know that if they are investing in protecting the wildlife and also the biodiversity, what kind of benefits that we or even the nature can give them, according to you as a researcher, sir?
Yes, the main we have we have a strong regulation regarding that one. So every company or any company that clear the forest, which is we have, of course, we have conservation area which is untouchable for any economic expansion, as well as that we have production forests. Those forests that has been decided as the production forest can be expansion as to the other economic value of the activities, and the company who run on that need to be to conserve special area. So every, for example, oil palm plantations. Any company who run the oil palm plantation must conserve some area which is have high value on the conservation, and those area must be conserved and protect all the wildlife that also occur in that area. So that's kind of we call HCV, high conservation value area. So high conservation value area need to be always established to every company who expand area to be converted to the agroforestry, and high value conservation area also need to be evaluated to every year or every period to know how many species decline there, how many species incline there. So this kind of the regulations need always supposed to be strengthened by the exist regulation and evaluation, of course. And among the institutions in our country, scientific authority, management authority need to be strengthen their collaborations to evaluate this kind of the topic. And the second one is the evaluating on the regulation of protecting species. So regulation of the protecting species need to be regularly or periodically evaluated. For example, the last regulation regarding protected species in Indonesia was issued in 2018. So every 5 years need to be evaluated, and then we know how many species can be down list, how many species can be listed in the protected list species, and of course, need a science behind that to decide whether the population's information, the biological information, as well as the evaluation on the conservation status of the species. So those are things need to be strengthen each other.
Okay, so on the government and also maybe the business players, they need to do the big things. But I would like to go down to the people, sir, because the discovery of the Barbodes Kelapa Nunggalensis, honestly, it is only 5 minutes away from my house. It's still in our neighborhood, and we only know that Kelapa Nunggal itself is an industrial area. We didn't know that they have a cave, and then we didn't know that there is something new that we can discover, like a new species or maybe some threatened animals, threatened plants that we never imagined is around us. So what would you like to tell the people? An effort. I mean.
Well, telling the people.
Yeah. I mean, not only telling, but how can we also protect? What role that we can play, sir?
Yes. The main role for protection of species is the people itself. So if the people around the area where the species occur notice and realize there is a species that living together with them, even species that has no name, and then this is very unique. For example, if you think about the Barbodes new species from Kelapa Nunggal, the species is endemic. They are in the subterranean area. They have they evolve in the different way with other terrestrial species, and of course regarding the change of the environment that support them is really fragile for them to survive. And those messages need to be delivered to the people around them. And for example, if you use the water, and then the water can go down. If it is polluted, probably can be affected to the species under the subterranean area that living in that ecosystem. And also, sending the message is not easy for people. For example, if we find new species and then said, so what if we have new species? Sometimes people say like that. And we have to know when species have been discovered, there are a lot of information need to be explored rather than finding new species, how they live there, the habitat, the reproductions, and as well as the populations. So if all those information can be provided, then we know what is the advantage of species from the human beings. I will have the for examples of Komodo dragon, for example. This is really famous species. Yeah, Komodo dragon has been discovered in 1920. Sorry, in 1912. Yeah, and it has been protected in 1915 by Dutch government at that time. But we don't know what the Komodo dragon has until in 2015 that the blood of Komodo dragon consists of some active material that probably this materials can be used for the antibiotic because when Komodo dragon fighting each other, they never get infected by bacteria. So they have some material that really can be developed for material for antibacterial or antibiotic, something like that. So it has been almost 200 years after it has been discovered. More than 100 years has been discovered. So yeah, it's finding new species is not simple. However, finding the utility of the new species is also need improvement from the perspective of science. So message from the people is protect the species around them, as well as telling them there's some the existence of the species in the habitat is really needed because there's a part of the ecosystem that has contribution to the stability of that ecosystem. Once the stability of the ecosystem disturbed, then human being can be affected. So this kind of the message need to be delivered to the people around the area where the species has been found.
Yeah, this is very important because like in the West, there are so many people since 2010s were worrying because the bees are going extinct, something like that. And they also think, what about the fruits? What will help them? I mean, what will help the plant to bear the fruits because there is no bees helping the process, something like that. So if there is something around you, you got to know that it has a role that helps the existence of every human too. Okay, thank you very much, Pak, for joining us in today's little dialogue. Although apparently there are still so many things that we can explore, and I wish that the wildlife exploration, protection, and research in Indonesia can get more investment, not only by our government, but also by everybody in this planet. Because like you said, that Indonesia is a hotspot, not for the problems, but also for the opportunities for the research. Thank you very much, Pa Amir Hamidy, for joining us.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Okay, listener, that was the director of Secretariat of Scientific Authority for Biodiversity from our National Research and Innovation Agency, Brin. We hope that with today's talk about this will help you to realize that everything around us has a very nice role in our life too. So if you see something that you don't recognize, maybe do not shoot them. Just tell the local authorities or maybe your local research agency so that we can also protect all the biodiversity and also our wildlife. This conversation, listener, will be available too on our YouTube channel, VI Official.
Voice of Indonesia. VOR.